Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemi Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great men who do rule well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. There's your brother Marcus out here in Trinidad. Just want to do a little edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson would be the white horse. Alright? And now the time of the white horse is steadily approaching. Meaning what? The time of Yahweh Shai. Because Yahweh Shai was the one riding that white horse. And we're going to get into that. This is Psalms 119 and verse 126. It says, "It is time for thee, Yahweh Shemi Shai, to work, for they have made void thy law." Yeah, it is time for thee to work. So the Lord working right now. And you've seen his prophecies coming to pass. The Lord making himself known. All right? And he's steadily bringing the end upon the world. All right? So the Lord working right now. All right? Let me read something before I go to this. Let's bear in a second. This is Romans, I believe it's chapter 9. Verse 28, it says, "For he will finish the work." All right? So the Lord finishing the work right now. It says, "For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness." So he's making the day short right now. That's why you see time not speeding up anymore. Time skipping. We literally we just skipping our days. All right? That is how much the Lord, as the scripture said, the day of vengeance is burning in his heart. The Lord wants the days to come quick, so that he could deliver the elect and bring destruction upon the wicked. All right? Romans chapter 9 and verse 28, "For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness, because a short work will the Lord make upon the earth." And the Lord working right now, and he making his work short, meaning that he's speeding it up. You're seeing everything happening, the stage being set. All right, the Neuralink, they're talking about the MOTB going in cashless, World War III. All right. They're talking about, insurrections and, martial law and all of that. So, the stage being set. They're talking about pestilences, famines and all these things. The stage being set right now. All right. The Lord have all the ingredients, and all he just have to do is put them in one big pot. All right. He just had to put them in one big pot. All the ingredients that they laid out on the table. This is Revelation chapter 6, and I start at verse 1. It says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were a noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse." And that is the name of the topic, white horse. All right? "And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." Now that white horse, it represents Yahweh Shai coming, on his chariot, all right, with his military might. All right? That is what that represents. That white horse represents Yahweh Shai, all right, coming with his chariot. All right? This is Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What sayest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, This is the curse that goeth over the face of the whole earth." Right? So it's a big chariot. It says, "For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off on this side, according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off on that side, according to it." It says, "I will bring it forth, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemi Shai of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief," which is America, all right? "And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, saying that they are the chosen people," all right, you Edomites, all right? "And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and it shall consume it with the timber thereof and with the stones thereof." Yeah, because the Lord is, as he said, he's going to make a quick end. All right? The Lord is going to bring about the end upon this wicked world, all right, with great destruction. And he's going to use his vehicles, his flying rolls, which, people call UFOs, which are the the chariots of Yahweh Shemiah Shai. This is 2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved the waves thereof." Right? It says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." Jude 1 and verse 14, Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. All right? That is why the Lord said, if this was my kingdom, my servant shall fight. All right? Because my Father will send more than 12 legions of angels. Now the Lord, he put in his words, pen to paper. Means he gonna make it, he gonna fulfill it now. Because he now coming to establish his kingdom physically. All right? It says, "And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth, when it fleeth the fire." And that voice, when you go back, I believe is in Isaiah, it says, from the voice of the Lord. Let me just look for that real quick. I know it's somewhere in Isaiah. All right. Went a little too far. All right, then. All right. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 30 says, "And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and he shall shoot the lightning down of his arm." As the scriptures talk about the right aim in thunderbolts, it says, "With the indignation of his anger and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scatterings and tempests and hailstone." It says, "Through the voice of Yahweh Shemiah Shai shall the Assyrian be beaten down with smote with the rod." All right. Now, saw a video with those men from Sakari, and they basically scoffing at the apostles and the men of Great Millstone, saying that when we say, like, where we use scriptures and we talk about the king of Tyre and whatnot, we're going off. But guess what? The scriptures also symbolically tied and linked those ancient places to these modern times. So we're not going off. It's through the Spirit of the Lord. All right? So it says what? "For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down with smote with the sword." And the Assyrian, the modern day Assyrian is Esau. All right? And the voice of the Lord, when you go back to what we just read, in 2 Ezra, it says, verse 4, it says, "And whensoever the voice went out," and that voice will go what? That voice is the command, and also the the explosion from the concentrated nuclear energy from the chariots, the lasers. All right. He says, "And all they burned that heard the voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth the fire." He says, "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men." It's going back to Revelation 12. All right, that war in heaven, Revelation 12 and 7, Independence Day. That is from the scriptures. All right. If you watch the Hobbit, the last installment of the Hobbit, where the dwarves and the elves, they were going at it. They were going at it. And then when the orc army came, they had to team up and fight against the orc army. In the movie, the orc were the bad guys. But guess what? That is the same settings that are going to happen with Yahweh Shai. Because Yahweh Shai coming to take the kingdom. All right, Yahweh Shai coming to take the kingdom. So while these nations going at it in World War III, Yahweh Shai coming, conquering and to conquer, he gonna bring that destruction upon them. All right. He says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain. When they go back into the Hinduism, the vehicles of the Hindu gods, they call them Vimanas. And if you look at a Vimana is literally a mountain-shaped chariot. Even the word cloud, the original meaning of the word cloud actually goes back to a large mountainous object and not a puff of smoke in the sky. All right. So what Ezra saw was a large chariot the Lord was riding on. All right. The curse that covered the whole earth. All right. It says, and I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. And I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, all they which gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet does fight. And lo, he saw, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it were a blast of fire, right? Which is the as I said, the concentrated energy, the lasers that come on the chariots out of his mouth, which would be, the midsection of the chariot, when it opens up. All right. If you want to call it a mouth, because a mouth basically is just an opening. All right. As it were a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw it, I was afraid. All right? And that is the time, as I said, the name of the lesson is the time, the white horse, or probably I might call it the time of the white horse. All right? Because when Yahweh Shai comes, that is what he coming to do. All right? Revelation 6:2, it says, and I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And that is what the Lord gonna do. He gonna subdue all nations under him. All right? All the nations he gonna subdue. Jumping on to verse 15, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountain, which are the bunkers, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? None shall be able to stand. None will be able to deliver. The only thing that's going to deliver you is the same one that bringing the destruction. Yahweh Shai. He bringing the destruction, he also bringing the salvation according to his name. All right? According to his name. And we steadily waiting for the day of the white horse. When the Lord, as the scripture says, when he come to rend the heavens. Oh, that thou wouldest rend the heaven. This is what we're waiting for. For that day, that great and dreadful day. Because that day is not only a day of mourning and lamentation, but a day also of great rejoicing. Revelation chapter 19 and verse 11, it says, and I saw heaven open, the rend the heavens, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And his eyes was a flame of fire, going back to Revelation chapter 1 and verse 13 to 15, proving that is Yahweh Shai on the white horse, which is a chariot. All right? Let me just read this. to prove there is not a literal horse he coming riding on. This is Matthew 17, verse 4. It says, and then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. Now is that bright cloud? Why is the cloud bright? Because why? Because the cloud, as I said, when you look up the word cloud, it goes back to a large mountainous object. So it was a large, bright chariot that was shining that overshadowed them. All right? It says, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, now think about the Lord with all his might, with all his wisdom, with all his glory. Why would the Lord be riding around on a puff of smoke? The Lord ain't a fairy. You people need to, take your head out your ass, and get rid of them, bedtime storybooks. All right? That bright cloud, that was a chariot, a so-called UFO. All right, going back to Revelation chapter 19. All right, verse 12, it says that his eyes was a flame of fire, and on his heads were many crowns, which they were the nations that he conquered. Because all the nations, as the scripture says, my determination is to gather the nations. So he gathered all these nations and taken them down. All right. It says, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself, which is Yahushua. It says, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, chariots. The Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Now the reason why it was dipped, because the Lord going out conquering to conquer. Think about you going out in white and you in the middle threshing and swinging. Guess what? You're going to get blood in. So that was just symbolically showing that the Lord going to get in. The Lord going to do some damage on you Edomites and on the armies of this world. The Lord coming to bring that destruction. All right? The Lord, Yahweh, Shem Shai, coming to bring that destruction. And that is what we're waiting on. All right? This is Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 21. It says, for Yahweh Shem Shai shall rise up in Mount Perazim, as in Mount Perazim, and he shall be wrought as in the valley of Gibeon. And, scholars say that in Mount Perazim and in Gibeon is when the Lord, fought with David to destroy the Philistines. All right? To bring them down with a great slaughter. All right? So the Lord going to do the same thing. Now again, it says that he may do his work, his strange work. Which is his strange work? How much times you see UFOs come out bringing destruction? You don't see that regular. So to the world, they're going to be strange. All right? His strange work that he might and bring to pass his act, his strange act. All right? Great destruction. You're going to see black men and so-called UFOs flying around with laser beams doing destructions. And it can be upon the house of the thief and upon the head of the wicked. Even upon, the wicked of our people are bent on doing evil and not repenting and turning back to Yahweh Shem Shai. But as he said, this iniquity shall not be purged except they die. All right? So a lot of our people, they're going to have to die and make it on the second go around. All right? Because in the time of the white horse, all right? In the time of the white horse, they're going to be great destruction. All right, let's jump back to Revelation for a bit. They're going to be great destruction in the time of the white horse. All right? This is Revelation chapter 14 and verse 14. It says, and I look and behold a white cloud, which is the same thing as the white horse. And upon the cloud sat one like unto the Son of Man, which is Yahushua. Is the same thing, the same white cloud. The white horse is the same thing. Having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, trust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe, and that was the elect being gathered up. Revelation chapter 11. It says what? And they descended a voice from heaven saying, come up hither, and they ascended up into a cloud. And at the same hour was a great earthquake. So while the elect being delivered, simultaneously the missile is going to be coming. All right. Verse 16, it says, and he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle, and the earth was reaped. All right. It says, and another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, trust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. And that is why the Lord read, because from all the destruction, all right, it was just symbolically representing all the destruction that going to happen when the Lord come in the day of the white horse. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came upon the wine out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So, yeah, Yahweh Shai gonna do mayhem in the land of the wicked. All right, and that is why it is benefiting for you to be on the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai's side. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. It says, who is this that cometh from Edom? And that is with the house of the thieves, the kingdom of you Edomites, beginning with America, with dyed garments from Bozrah. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Why? Because the Lord cometh with might, and also with his armies. I that speaketh in righteousness, mighty to save. So there is none that can save besides him. It says, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? So now, we read two scriptures with the Lord apparel red. So you want to know why red. All right, so this is what the scripture says. And thy garment like him that treadeth the wine fat. I have trodden the winepress alone. And the scripture says the winepress is the wicked of the earth. Revelation 14, we just read it. And of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in my anger. Right? The people is the grapes. And trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garment, and stain all my raiment. That is why the Lord garment red. Because the Lord coming to bring great destruction. That just symbolically showing that the Lord gonna go in. He gonna do great, wondrous judgment in the land of the wicked. All right, it says, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. The year of the Lord redeemed is come. The Lord ready. The scripture says the vengeance of his temple. All right, the Lord ready to bring that vengeance. And the day of the white horse, it's gonna be dreadful. The day of the white horse gonna be dreadful. That is why the scriptures say, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord." What end is it to you? You desire the day of the white horse, but you don't know where your end gonna be the day of the white horse. The day of the white horse is darkness and not light. All right. The day of the white horse is darkness and not light. This is Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15. It says, for behold, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to rend his anger with fury. With fury. And his rebuke with flames of fire from the chariot. Luke 12:49, going down. Says, I am come to send fire upon the earth. All right. It says, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh. So by fire and by the sword, by death and destruction, all you people who like to say only God could judge me, well, guess what? This is how the Lord judges. The Lord don't talk. It says, for fire and by his sword will the Lord plead. And when you look up the word plead, it means to judge all flesh. And the slain of the Lord shall be many. Many. There are a lot of people going to die in the day of the white horse, because the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua coming to bring great destruction. So it's either you turn to the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai now, or you're going to be caught in that destruction. All right? So with that, hope it was edifying. Want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone that do rule well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. This is your brother Makaza out here in Trinidad saying Shalom and stay strong.